now. So in the beginning it was hard, but now I take like 2 trips every year by God's grace, you know. So by God's grace, so like I take like 2 trips. And on the trips, I am fully off work. I don't care if something has blown here. When I come back, we'll deal with it. I've always been very, one of those people, epicals in school. I've always been that. And people didn't really like me because I was also very sports oriented. I have awards from Milo. I have over 20 medals. That very sports oriented. I played basketball, football. That was how school was. It was high grades, highly effective at school. I was sports prefect, went to school. Next thing, I was sports prefect again, Milo Awards. Then university. Yeah. University was interesting because I was meant to go into medicine. But I said I didn't want to go into medicine. My mom was very adamant, African. I love my mom. So she wanted me to go into medicine. I said, I don't want to go. I want to do something more sports-oriented, And physiotherapy is perfect. So I went into physical therapy, that's physio. And I didn't really like the constraints. I went to Lutz. Lutz is an amazing school. They will teach you really well. But we're still learning things that if you go to other schools, they're not doing this anymore. We're learning about microwaves. Nobody is using microwaves anymore, I get passionate when I think of it. So yeah, so I went through school. I had alterations with my lecturers, because I was smart. If I was stupid, it would have been better. But I was smart, so I could tell you, no, what I read was wrong. I'm the kind of person that will argue with you in class, and nobody likes that. And now I'm smart enough to know I should not have done that. Yeah, so school was fun. I used to go for parties. I had a very balanced life at school. I did. And then projects, graduation. Yeah, so I graduated with merit. That was top 3 in my class, which was top 3 in my set, which was really good. And then what else? Yeah, then I went for youth service. Everybody was surprised I said the 3 weeks orientation camp. Yeah, because they always just believed I was soft, so I would just escape, that kind of thing. But no, so I stayed 3 weeks. It was fun. I had fun with everybody, and then after that was my practice. After my practice, so after 6 years of physical therapy, medicine, and I decided to quit. I didn't quit. No, I didn't decide to quit. I didn't quit, but yeah, I practiced for a year. So after that, so that's 7 years, 7 whole years of my life. Yeah, so I practiced and I did 7 years. And then I decided to come into this. My mother was against it. She was fully against it. She said, no, you should practice. I already had 3 offers. 3 offers, all government hospitals, really good places. And she was like, I should just get the job. I should just do it. But I couldn't see myself doing that. I really couldn't. I couldn't see myself going to work and then doing the same thing I was complaining about, seeing 30 patients a day and not helping. And I was interested in this because you can come here in the night. It's quiet, it's beautiful. You're listening to music. I'm playing like old school. I'm very old school. So you're playing like old school jams. This is something like Michael Bolton. And then you're making things that people will use for 10, 20 years of their life. I enjoyed it so much because, like the first thing I made and I sold it, I was so happy. It's like, oh, I created this thing and then someone is going to use it and enjoy it. So I was so happy. And after that, I knew I couldn't go back. I just couldn't. I came here, I started doing this. And then my father is, he's of the older generation. So they didn't understand social media. They didn't understand that nobody goes to stores anymore. So, of course, it was me. And then my brother came into this. That is Olisa. He came in and we started setting up social media. We started setting up Congra. So we were selling, consistently. And then they were so excited. They're like, okay, maybe you guys can come in now. Like, okay, Yeah, so we were selling and then we came in. And we are doing really well. So, yeah. So even though my mother was against it, now that she sees, she's like, yeah, Google, so how is everything's good? I said, no, didn't you just travel? Everything is going fine. Yeah, so yeah. And we're growing and we're getting better. And please, I am a Christian, so, I'm very adamant about that. Christianity has taught me so much, not in the sense of religion, in the sense of getting closer to God. So every time even before this, I pray. I want to say the right things, not just for me to look good, but for me to help somebody or touch somebody out there. So I'm very adamant about praying before meetings. I could just be walking and I'll be talking to myself and I'm speaking in tongues. So yeah, okay. So this was one of the first things I made. This is, of course, this is not the original one, but yeah. So this is the Gela series. We name all our products. Yeah, like we named them, Gela, Montag, whatever name. So this is the Gela series. I was so excited because it was very simple. We sell this for 7,000. So it's cheap. Okay, or pretty affordable, yeah. So we've sold over 100 of this. So just imagine you made this and you sold over 100. I was really happy. I even made like a video on how normal people could make it, and everybody was so excited. Like, oh, okay, I'll try it. Of course, I'm sure most people didn't try it, but I'm happy they rather buy from us. Yeah, so yes, I was excited about this. This was good because we're trying to make our furniture more affordable. We tell people that, oh, our furniture lasts 20, 30 years. Most people in our generation are not interested in that. They want something that they will change every 5 years. So this will still last 20, 30 years, and it was still very affordable. So I was really happy about this. So this was my first one.
You follow your passion. If you have because a lot of people nowadays, a lot of young people study to please their parents. They study courses to please their parents. They study courses that are popular. But when you find what gives you joy, follow it. I have a son who is into baking. I'm studying engineering. So it's normally a conflict. Normally, I would have said, let him leave his engineering and concentrate fully on baking. But as I said, passion is not gender-based. I won't say I wish you were a boy, but I'm happy. I'm very happy. It gives me joy. Just looking back, seeing her handle things, doing things, some things I cannot even do.
Okay, so I'm a carpenter, and I love it. Okay. And I know that this is not your regular 9 to 5, but this is my life, and I love it so much.
And still here on the show, we bring you the story of Omozo Ehige, who left the world of banking, safe and secured job for what she learned how to do as a child and grew into as second nature, hairstyling precisely. Today, with her other sisters, Au Naturals is born.
I've been natural for 19 years, since 1999. I keep playing that my hair will soon go to university and I'll do a birthday party when it turns 21. But the thing is, I keep cutting my hair because, I don't know, maybe it's I don't know. I always grow it up to a certain length and then I cut it. So right now, it really should be longer than this, but it's not. So I think this year, maybe I won't cut it. So by the time it's 21, it should be much longer than this. Au Naturals was started in 2009 as a blog by 3 sisters who all had natural hair and were in all their different spheres of life. So we were answering questions on how to care for our natural hair, how to care for the natural hair of our daughters, because my older sister has 2 daughters with natural hair as well. And the salon started in 2013. Most people think Au Naturals started in 2013, but no, it started as a blog in 2009. Au Naturals is actually derived from the O sisters. My sisters and I were popularly known as the O sisters because all our names begin with O. And so we have natural hair. So it just progressed naturally to Au Naturals. I started off in financial services. I started working in a cash office, and from there I went into working in a cooperative. I went into private banking, and then I went full-time into Au Naturals. However, while I was in my financial services career, I was still working as a professional hairstylist on the side. And in 2009, I now went into professional hairstyling of natural hair. At the time, natural hair wasn't a big deal. There weren't many schools teaching stylists how to care for natural hair. And a lot has changed now. So I was in banking, I was in financial services for about 18 years before I transitioned fully to working with Au Naturals. So I left the financial services industry in 2015, January 2015, and have been working with Au Naturals since then. And I left after 18 years because it was time. It was time. Au Naturals needed a lot of attention at the time for the organization to be able to grow to what it is now. We are not where we want to be. We still have a lot to do, but I wouldn't have been able to grow the business from where it was in 2015 to where it is now if I had been working simultaneously at another organization. I went into natural hair care because my younger sister went natural. And I was a professional hairstylist at the time, so I was helping her care for her natural hair. At the time, there wasn't much information about natural hair, so really we were doing trial and error. And we would ask my mom questions about different products. And my mom would tell us about coconut oil, ori, which is shea butter now, which the world knows as shea butter. So that was what we were using, and I would weave her hair, I would style it differently. We used thread and those kind of things. And as I was doing that, she was getting a lot of compliments, a lot of questions outside, asking her, who did your hair? How did you take care of your hair? And she would direct them to me. I was working at a salon at the time. So after working at the salon during the day, I would be answering questions. People would be at my house. I would go doing mobile hair styling for various people. So there was a need. There really was a need. And we felt that we had the capacity to solve that problem and to meet that need. And that was how we decided to go into natural hair. I had some apprehension before leaving financial services completely, before leaving paid employment completely. I was afraid, I was unsure. Should I even say I was confused? But I was not, I will say this, I didn't have any doubts that Au Naturals would succeed. I don't know if those two contradict each other. There was no doubt in my mind that the organization would do well. This business idea would do well. But my concern was, okay, so you will now leave banking and then you will be doing a job that you don't know how frequently you're going to get paid. You don't know when you'll get paid. A customer is going to come. You have no idea. So that apprehension was there. That fear was there. Will natural hair, will a salon that cares for strictly natural hair succeed? And I guess, well, like I said, in 2015, ending of 2014, November, a good friend of mine told me that I should write my resignation and prepare to move into focusing on my business so that my business would grow. So I wrote that resignation in in September, handed it in November, and actually left in 2015. So there wasn't really, I had always been in there. So my heart had always been in there. So there wasn't really a definite time where I said, okay, I'm going to do hair now and I'm not going to do financial services. And to be fair, I still have some dabbles in financial services now. The initial challenges for setting up Au Naturals, honestly, nobody will lie, would be, first of all, us. The ones who came up with the idea. Just, I guess, encouraging ourselves to go ahead to do it. My older sister is a medical doctor. My younger sister is a writer. I was in financial services. So we had careers in different areas. So we were really our first challenge, kind of believing our own vision and putting our vision into putting it down on paper and sharing it with other people. So that was one of the challenges. Another challenge was, of course, finding a space. Where are we going to set up the salon and all of that? The best moment so far in my career has been expanding the business to where it is now. We've expanded from 4 chairs to 14 chairs. And in my mind, I think that's growth. regardless of how small it may seem to somebody else, it is growth. You've grown from being, small, very small, to, medium or small now. So instead of smallest, you're now small or smaller, whichever way you want to look at it. But that was very exciting. I remember sitting down on my styling chair, looking out the window, how cliche, looking out the window, and thinking to myself, if everything were to scatter today, I would not be upset. My favorite part of running Au Naturals is creating styles and interacting with my staff and customers. I can shout at my staff. They know that, but they know that we have a goal and an objective. So it works out well. This most requested hairstyle in the salon, I think right now, is combination. Typically when we bring out a new hairstyle, a lot of people want to try the hairstyle out. A lot of people want to get it done and all of that. So right now, combination is our most popular hairstyle. And we spice it up with a little bit of roll and talk, with a little bit of extensions. But right now, combination is leading the pack. Nigerian hair through the decades is very, very interesting. I'm actually a fan of the history of hair and the progression, changes of hairstyling and hair care in Nigeria. Some things may seem to have changed, but we still use ori, we still use coconut oil, we still use avocado to take care of our hair. Our grandmothers did it, our mothers did it, and we are doing it now. The styles for the different festivals, for the different events, weddings, childbirth, deaths, Oshobo festival, the hair styles at that festival alone is amazing. Even the Argungu festival. So hair in Nigeria is rich. We are trendsetters. We take from other places and we turn it around to make it ours. So much so that people think it originated from us here. The local techniques, rather indigenous techniques like threading, DD, we incorporate those even in our hairstyling today and even in Au Naturals. So it is rich, it is interesting, it's mesmerizing. And one thing about Nigerian women is we are bold when it comes to style, whether it's clothing, makeup, or hair. If I were to go back in time, I would do many things differently. First thing, I would not delay. We got the place, start. Just start. All the mental gymnastics and somersaulting doesn't get you anywhere, So I would start earlier. I would have started the natural hair salon earlier than we did, actually. And I would actually have written more things down, structured more, Sometimes people think it's difficult to structure what is not in existence, but I think it's important to create what is not in existence and you kind of grow into it as opposed to waiting for things to happen because you become reactionary. So with the new projects that we're working on, we're being more proactive. So we are structuring now, we are planning and strategizing for now and for the future. So those two things I would do differently. We would start immediately and we would create what it is we wanted to see. Hello, I'm Omozo Ehige. This is not your 9 to 5, but it's my life.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Madam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes.
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello and many thanks for joining us. The news on the hour in Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi, and here are the stories making the headlines. And we begin with security matters across Nigeria first. 5 persons have been reported missing as gunmen stormed the Government Girls Secondary School, Moriki Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State. The armed men were said to have entered the school through the back fence with an intention to attack the school and abduct students. Confirming the incident, the police public relations officer Muhammad Shehu, in a statement on Thursday, said on the spur of the movement, a combined team of PMF, CTU, as well as the civilian JTF personnel headed by the DPO, mobilized to the school, who confronted the armed men and stopped them from gaining access to the students' hostel. Although Mr. Muhammad says that no student was abducted, as earlier reports indicated, he later stated that 2 caterers and 3 of their children were discovered missing. And I quote, "The police are collaborating with the school authority to establish the whereabouts of the missing persons. To this end, a search and rescue operation has been dispatched to the surrounding bushes for an extensive bush combing." And end of quote. Meanwhile, security has also been beefed up in the school and its environment to forestall further happening. Moving over to Katsina State, where the police on Wednesday said the suspects in connection with the abduction of President Muhammadu Buhari's aide-de-camp, father-in-law Magajin Garin Daura Alhaji Musa Uba, has been arrested. The spokesperson of the Katsina State Police Command, Gambo Isa, in a statement disclosed that the traditional ruler was abducted on Tuesday evening at his residence by gunmen numbering up to 6. He added that the kidnappers stormed the residence in a Peugeot 405, a registered car, blue in color, and shot sporadically into the air and abducted him. Then the commissioner of the state of police and police patrol team arrived at the scene, and I quote, "The state commissioner of police, Sanusi Buba, along with police patrol teams immediately arrived at the scene. Police patrol teams at Kusada Division, Katsina State, intercepted the hoodlums and engaged them in a gun drill, as a result of which one Inspector Muntari Meikudi, attached to Kusada Division, sustained a gunshot injury and was rushed to the Federal Medical Center, Katsina, for treatment. The abducted traditional ruler, who is the father of Fatima Musa, wife of Colonel Muhammad Abubakar, the ADC to President Muhammad Buhari, was a retired customs controller and a business mogul. In other security matters, the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has redeployed the Commissioner of Police in Kaduna State, Ahmed Abdurrahman, and 5 other commissioners. In a statement on Wednesday by the Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Mba, the minor shake-up was necessary as part of efforts to fight crime, the Force Intelligence Bureau in Abuja said. Mba noted that the Kaduna CP has been moved to the Force Intelligence Bureau in Abuja, the nation's capital. Other officers affected by the recent redeployment exercise include former CP Intelligence Sani Akmadu to resume as head of Bauchi State Police Command. Benue CP Omololu Bishi now assumes duty as the boss of the Central Criminal Registry CCR in Alagbo, Lagos, while the CP, Mohammed Garba, moves from the Office of the National Security Advisor to Benue State Command as the new Commissioner of Police. The Astral CCR boss in Alagbo resumes as the CP in charge of armament at the force headquarters in Abuja. Now, the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, Professor Muhammad Isa, said Nigeria has remained sluggish in almost every facet of national development, largely due to greed and unstoppable quest for materialism by most public officers. He said most of the officers feel the public office was a ready conduit where indiscipline and corruption flows, and thus made it become an acceptable norm that public office is a national cake which occupants are privileged to have and share. He spoke in Abuja at the April 2019 lunchtime reform seminar organized by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms with the theme Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct for Public Officers.
Public service is the foundation and the basis for the national development. Where there is a failure in national development, economic growth, then any form of insecurity and instability can arise. And today we are witnessing a lot of such insecurity, instability politically, and economic malpractices, which are termed as economic crimes. So this is a failure in the effective delivery in public service in Nigeria. The breakdown of law and order in Nigeria, triggered by official corrupt practices, has brought about socio-economic discontent, political instability, and was thus marked by widespread and long-standing violence over time and space. These trends were partly and directly results of corruption, communication breakdown, and collaborative gaps. Where a public officer is required to comply with due process in the procurement of goods, services, or contracts, and he failed to do so, the Bureau can come in.
And talking legal matters now, the District Court of The Hague has issued an interim ruling in favor of wives of Ogoni leaders killed in 1995 during the military era of Sani Abacha. The case was instituted by 4 wives of the slain leaders, that's Esther Kubel, Victoria Bera, Blessing Ewo, and Charity Levula, accused shall have been involved in the decision by the Nigerian government that led to the killing of their husbands. The plaintiffs are also calling on the court to order Shell to hand over more than 100,000 internal documents crucial to the case. Shell's lawyers have refused to do so, even though these documents were submitted as evidence in the U.S. case. Shell had said that the Dutch court lacked jurisdiction to hear the case, but the court ordered that the case must continue. In its ruling on Wednesday, the court ordered that the case should not be time-barred, while also granting the prayers of the plaintiff that Shell should hand over the confidential internal documents to the plaintiff's lawyers, and that they would have to have the opportunity to examine witnesses. Amnesty International, an international human rights organization, supported Kubel's legal team to bring the case to the Netherlands in 2017 and detailed Shell's role in the arrest and executions in a briefing. Commending the court for its ruling, Mark Dumet, Amnesty International's head of business and human rights, said the ruling would set an important precedent for other victims around the world who are seeking to hold powerful corporations to account and who struggle to access justice. And the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption, Professor Itse Sege, has said nobody can arrest elder statesman Chief Ayo Adebanjo for refusing to recognize President Muhammadu Buhari as having won a second term in office. According to him, Adebanjo is an institution in Nigeria in the silk of Edwin Clark and Wole Soyinka because of his contribution to the country's history. Speaking to Daily Independent, to the media, Serge said, and I quote, "The man is an institution just like Edwin Clark and Wole Soyinka. Nobody can touch such people because if you touch them, you are really touching Nigeria's history and everything the country stands for. So, nobody will touch Adebanjo because he's an institution and he knows that," he added. Talking labour matters now, workers in Adamawa State joined their counterparts across the world to celebrate the Workers' Day nationwide. Some of the workers, however, reveal that the challenges are enormous and want urgent actions taken by government to address them.
The promise I made during the February-March weekend, I think it's no more promise. This is affirmative. It's confirmed. We must abide by what we said, and 30,000 naira. I hope I will be the first government in Nigeria to Christmas and unforgettable one because the way the church I got a lot, and when I was from the church I got another alert. In the evening I got another alert. For Excellency, for the past years I was celebrating Christmas the way I did in 2018, and that is on behalf of private and government agency workers, workers of every and other women class workers. We should say thank you, Excellency, for that magnanimity.
Workers' Day celebration is also marking the 100 years of struggle for my labor, for jobs, for workers' dignity and social justice in Nigeria.
And still staying on the sidelines of the International Workers' Day celebration, now although no Nigerian worker has received bank alerts for the 30,000 naira national minimum wage recently approved by President Muhammadu Buhari, the organized labor, comprising of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, has described the new wage increase as a most deserving gift for this year's May Day celebration. However, the organized labor has started mounting pressure on government at the federal and state levels to begin the implementation without further delay. President of NLC and TUC, Ayuba Waba and Boboy Balake Igama, respectively, expressed gratitude to the federal government of Nigeria while observing the May Day festivities at the Eagle Square, Abuja. They equally urged government to quickly finalize salary adjustment across the payroll of civil and public servants, noting that time had been lost in arriving at the new minimum wage. Dr. Jide Lawson, a medical practitioner, reacted to this issue.
I think probably the Labour leader may have been talking in terms of saying that we fought for an increment and we have gotten an increment and is now being implemented because it's now, the bill has been signed into law, and that is being signed into law just before the Workers' Day. So, I mean, it could be looked at as a gift at that point in time from the government to Labour for what they've done. So I'll look at it from that viewpoint. However, when it comes to the minimum wage issue, it's been long overdue that there needs to be an increase in the wage structure. I mean, in the wages being paid. And cost of living has been going up, inflation, amongst other things. The salaries are not really doing they're not doing much. I would have said, I'm going to limit my comments about the minimum wage issues, and I think Labour should also do that till you can actually get to see the report by presidential committee on the minimum wage led by Mr. Bismarck Rwande, because that would give you a lot more information on what considerations were made. Because when it comes to the minimum wage aspect, government has a part to play. And it's not just paying the wages, but you also have to electricity, potable water, affordable healthcare, available healthcare. All those things are the things that would actually empower that minimum wage to actually carry some weight. So those things are there. So we don't know what is included in the report. We don't know what is being asked of government and what timelines have been given to the government to put these things in place. So I would have said, let's get to see the report. Let's see what is being asked of government, because you also have to look at it in terms of the wage. The wage is also a function of productivity. Productivity is hampered by the lack of poor electricity in the country. What are they doing about it? The educational system. Health insurance, because health is wealth. So if your people are healthy, if they can get good health care, then it also enhances productivity, and of course there's more money to go around. So I'd rather be holistic in my outlook to it. Let's look at all the areas, how they fit into the scheme of things, and what comes out of it.
Also, Ugochukwu Ikiako, a political affairs analyst, also reacted to this matter relating to Dr. Chris Ngige's comment, and he said President Muhammadu Buhari is not necessarily the country's most labor-friendly president. He made this known during our Off the Press edition today.
Well, Chris Ngige is wrong. President Buhari is not the most labor-friendly leader.
That's your opinion.
That's his opinion as well. But facts are there, and the facts are sacred. We have a president that over the last few years have spent more time outside this country taking care of himself than the people that he was elected to attend to. We shouldn't be celebrating mere 30,000 naira. That is not enough to buy 2 bags of rice. And right now in Nigeria, we have very, let me say, a high cost of living. All right, the purchasing power, the naira you have in your hand can't do much. So, for example, someone that lives in Lagos, a civil servant in Lagos, all right, you have a high cost of transportation in Lagos. The food prices are very high in the market because of insecurity. It shows you the mindset of the labor leaders who have. All right, for me, I think they've sold out. All right, because it can't. This is minimum. It's called wage because you worked for it. It's not a gift. All right. So I think it's part of the thing that made them to go into this negotiation with the government and settle for 30,000 because they felt that the government was giving them a gift. All right, and so. Calling it 30,000 that the best made the gift it's not a gift, all right. For people that work, people that have children, some have 2 children in the universities, in secondary school, some have more than 3 across the country. 30,000 naira is not enough, and if labor says it's okay for them, I think it's sad, and it does not in the right sense paint the right picture of what the Nigerian workers deserve.
And that reaction wraps up our news across Nigeria. When we come back after the short break, we'll bring you plenty more reports from the rest of Africa. Just stay with us. Glad to have you back. Now, if you're just joining us, you're watching news on the Hour and Plus TV Africa, and it's time to bring you our Africa news package as we start from Uganda, where Afro-pop star and lawmaker Bobby Wine was due to appear in court today for a bail hearing after he was arrested by police for escaping house arrest. The Kyodondo East Member of Parliament's bail hearing was conducted with him in a dock at the Luzira Maximum Security Prisons where he's been held. The current hearing is, however, connected to charges of incitement as relates to protests he held last year against proposed social media tax by the government. The submissions of the case were being heard from the Buganda Road Court, where he was expected to appear in person. Political watchers say it is the first time the measure is being applied in the country's justice system. On the issue of his recent arrest, he had escaped from preventive house arrest to attend a funeral before he was re-arrested. He was slapped with charge of disobedience of statutory duty and remanded till his hearing today. He appeared in blue locally made attire and was flanked by 2 prison officials during the period of the exchanges. A number of his colleague lawmakers stood surety for him in the case. Security watchers say that the police and prison authorities must have taken the televised hearing option to reduce the incidence of exchanges with supporters of Bobi Wine's People Power movement. We now cross over to Sudan, where the opposition plans to hand over its vision of the transitional government to the military council within hours, amid calls for a million-strong rally in the army's general headquarters on Thursday for a swift transfer of power to a civilian government. A credible opposition source told Sudan Tribune that the forces of the Declaration of Freedom and Change would hand over to the Transitional Military Council their proposal over civil power structures in a short time, and I quote, "maybe today or tomorrow morning," he said. On the flip side of this break, we have our foreign news package coming up now. Glad to have you back. And on the international front now, Gavin Williamson has strenuously denied he leaked information from the National Security Council as calls have been made for a police inquiry. He was sacked as Defense Secretary for allegedly disclosing plans to allow Chinese telecoms giant Huawei to help build the UK's 5G network. Opposition MPs said there should be an investigation into whether the Official Secrets Act had been breached. Downing Street said it had compelling evidence and the matter was closed. Mr. Williamson is quoted in several of Thursday's newspapers as saying he was the victim of a vendetta and a kangaroo. He told Sky News that he swore his children's lives that he was not responsible for the leak. He also cited poor relations with Sir Mark Sedrill, the Cabinet Secretary and National Security Advisor who carried out the leak investigation, telling the Times he would have had been absolutely exonerated had police probed what went on after the end